Good evening. I am Mariatu Sidibe and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Kairaba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. And now, here are the main local news headlines. Aspiring candidates from the West Coast region, Banjul and Kanifing municipality have signed the symbolic code of conduct in ensuring a peaceful National Assembly election. Tenants living within the Greater Banjul area have raised concern over high cost of rent and urged relevant authorities to address the problem. The Gambia National Youth Service Scheme NYSS on Tuesday held the swearing ceremony for its 14th batch of 134 corps members. In international news, the Ukraine-Russia war could trigger a food crisis in Africa due to the continent's heavy dependence on both countries for food imports, according to the president of the Africa Development Bank. In sports news, the Scorpions of the Gambia on Tuesday drew 2-2 with Chad to progress to the group stage of qualifiers for the AFCON 2023 in Ivory Coast. Those were our main headlines. Now the news in detail. Aspiring candidates from West Coast region, Banjul and Kanifing municipality have signed the symbolic code of conduct in ensuring a peaceful National Assembly election on April 9th. Laurie M. Kamara witnessed the signing ceremony, and this is her report.
The two-day event held on Tuesday and Wednesday was facilitated by International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, bringing together candidates from hotspots constituencies. Aliu Mamanjai, the IEC chairman, says Gambia's election has always been free, fair and transparent, and that should be safeguarded at all times. The British High Commissioner David Belgrove and Dr. David Tommy, chairperson of the National Election Response Group, both spoke goodwill messages to candidates and congratulated them for taking necessary steps to be custodians of the code of conduct in maintaining peace during and after elections.
Good elections are a state of mind, and you can have very good constitutional framework, but if people don't enter into it in the right frame of mind, things can still go wrong. And your presence here today is testament to the fact that everybody is going into this election in the right frame of mind.
Using the platform of this democratic process to challenge each other in ideology, programs, and economic challenges to see who the best is.
Dr. Muhammad bin Chambers, eminent person for the national dialogue process, stated that this year's National Assembly election will be another milestone in the new democratic dispensation, following a successful presidential election in December of last year.
Adopted a grassroots approach to the signing. In this regard, candidates were kindly requested to sign the code of conduct at their respective constituencies immediately after the nomination process by the IEC.
Usman Yabo, local facilitator for the code of conduct, reminded the aspirants that in contesting for a public office, one must be peaceful.
You must learn to behave, learn to support, learn to settle matters amicably, peacefully. And that's why we are here today, to ensure that those of us who are peaceful or peacemakers will endorse this code of conduct for your own good.
Hannah Foster, chairperson of the CSO coalition, who read the code of conduct, says history is in the making again because this is the second time this type of agreement is signed. Maurice Ngulegule, head of project for International IDEA in the Gambia, gave an update of the candidates who have signed the agreement.
To date, I received this morning the update from one team on the ground. Yesterday we were at 80%, now we are 85%. One observation that I received also is that all the 90% of women, 19, have signed the code of conduct.
Now that the symbolic code of conduct is signed, it is hoped that political parties and independent candidates will honor the agreement and ensure peaceful National Assembly elections on April 9. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
The Gambia National Youth Service Scheme, NYSS, on Tuesday held the swearing ceremony for its 14th batch of 134 corps members following a month of orientation. Ajibintu Drame reports.
Dignitaries from the security services and government sector attended the event held at the Independence Stadium in Bakau. These recruits, including for the first time passing with hard of hearing, went through rigorous orientation in self-discipline. Emmanuel Mendy, Executive Director, NYSS, explains the components of the orientation.
During this 1 month, they have undergone a series of activities, civic rights and responsibilities as young Gambians, and their role in national development. They are also exposed to the various skills that are available in the country that they can be embarked on and trained on. The programs the government has laid down for youth, particularly the National Youth Policy.
Ismaila Cisse, CEO of Inside Training Center, says that the need for skill is important in the economic development of the nation. An inadequate industry relevant skill is a hindrance for the transformation of economies.
Low value-added production patterns make Africa depend on export of raw materials and creating wealth for foreign processors and manufacturers and leaving Africa in poverty. In this regard, there is a need to address the challenge of skill mismatch, which affects productivity and value addition due to weak linkage between education system and labor market.
The pledge and oath was read by the corps members, pledging their allegiance to the country. Jibrin Goroseka, representing the Ministry of Youth and Sports, reminds the corps members to prepare for their respective roles in national development.
It is meant to inculcate the spirit of oneness and sense of common national identity with rich diversity. As young people of this country, you must all realize that for us to grow and develop as a nation, you must acquire the requisite skills for development.
Alhaji Kebe, chairman of NYSS, thanked partners for their immense support, while employing the recruit to take the training with utmost commitment for self and national development. Sadara Cisse is among the recruits.
So before NYSS, I completed grade 12 and I don't know what I wanted to do. I was sitting down, but when the Deaf Association told us NYSS want us to come, I was very, very happy. And now from here, I'm going to do the skill I chose for myself and I want to use as a career. I want to do electrical wiring, electrical installation. That's what I want to do.
Established in 1996, NYSS has trained thousands of youths in skills acquisition, including electrical installation, IT, plumbing, hairdressing, catering, carpentry, auto mechanic, livestock management, rice production, tailoring, and fabrication, horticulture, among others. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
Tenants living within the Greater Banjul area have raised concern over high cost of rents and urged relevant authorities to address the problem. Ajibintu Drame has more.
Property owners are making a fortune by renting their properties, which they depend to survive. The tenants who rent the properties for use as accommodation or business say the high cost of rent has added more challenges to the high cost of living. Speaking to us off camera, Fatu and Basiru have rented stores for business purpose. They complained that they were paying $2,500, but the landlord has now increased the rent to $5,000. Yamanjai is a tenant who runs a salon. She explains.
The
issue of rent is a problem for many. It is costly and I can even imagine. My previous place is bigger than here, but I have to move here because of the sudden increase in rent. If you cannot pay, they evict you from the place. Yama further stated that the high cost of rent is affecting youth self-employment. It has been a long time and the prices are still skyrocketing. The government should help us, because if one builds a store and charge $200,000, we the youth don't have that much to pay. It is difficult on us. Youth are ready to work, because I know some of them who want to venture into business, but they complained about the high cost of rent. Aminata Mane, also a tenant, occupies a 2-bedroom apartment for 8 years and pays $3,500 a month. Since I moved here, I have been paying the same price, but it appears there will soon be an increment. The government should intervene so that we can have a house of our own. The rent is expensive. It will be difficult to pay $10,500 for 3 months in these trying times. Babu Karanjai, a businessman who also wants to speak off camera, imports goods abroad. He blames middlemen one has to pass through for the high cost of rent.
No, rent bifini, mom is not good.
The rent here is not good. I am paying $10,000 per month, and I pay every 6 months. If I don't pay, the agent will bring me an eviction notice. This is why the prices of goods are high.
Okay, it's too costly.
For this type of business, if we have to clear a container from the ports, it will be too expensive. Clearing a container was $80,000. Now it is $150,000. Where can we get that money? We have to increase the prices of goods, and I have 2 employees to pay.
The Rent Act 2014 stipulates the rights and terms of tenancy agreement. Ridwan Othman, a registrar at the Kanifing Magistrate Court, says lack of knowledge about the act is part of the problem.
Issue is, sometimes the landlords own their properties, and as I told you, there is no control as to how much they are going to charge for their places. So the only problem, tenants will bear it, but at the end of the day, they cannot afford it. So they will end up being given notice to vacate.
Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
We will now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more local news stories. Do stay tuned.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world. Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and Ria just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from Ria directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower, and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sunyu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. In international news, the president of the Africa Development Bank has warned that the Ukraine-Russia war could trigger a food crisis in Africa due to the continent's heavy dependence on both countries for food imports. Momor Lamin Chai has more.
Ukraine and Russia, 2 countries at war, are leaving the world with devastating socio-economic consequences. The impact of the escalating conflict trickles down to Africa, a continent whose wheat import from Russia and Ukraine makes up 90% of its $4.5 billion trade. Already as the war draws close to its 2nd month, natural gas, wheat and fertilizer prices have skyrocketed in the continent. The president of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, is raising up an alarm of a looming threat of food crisis in Africa due to the Ukraine-Russia war. According to the AFDB president, 1/3 of the cereal supply of East Africa comes from those 2 countries, and Egypt is badly affected. So is Algeria, Morocco, Somalia, and several other countries. In the absence of swift mitigating response to this impact of the war on the continent, Adesina points out that it will destabilize the continent. To tackle the problem, the Africa Development Bank is working on a $1 billion emergency food production plan for Africa to avoid food shortages and bring down inflation. Part of the implementation of this project, the AFDB plans to support 20 million farmers with access to climate-resilient agricultural technologies to boost food production in order to feed 200 million Africans. Through the emergency plan, farmers are expected to produce 30 metric tons of food, including rice, maize, and soya beans. The Russia-Ukraine war, which comes amidst the COVID-19 pandemic that has put 26 million Africans into extreme poverty, further deepens the economic crisis on the continent, especially on food, which accounts for roughly 66% of household expenditure. As the Ukraine-Russia war brings grave socio-economic challenges, so does it provide opportunity for the African continent. According to some observers, the conflict in Eastern Europe presents the chance for African countries to become key energy suppliers in the world as European countries reduce energy import from Russia. Mohamed Lamin Choi, QTV News.
In sports news. The Scorpions of the Gambia on Tuesday drew 2-2 with Chad to progress to the group stage of qualifiers for the AFCON 2023 in Ivory Coast. Aliou Cisse reports.
3-2 on aggregate, it ended in favor of the Scorpions against Chad as the Gambia progressed to the group stage of qualifiers for the 2023 AFCON in Ivory Coast. The Gambia made a name for itself at this year's AFCON in Cameroon, where they exited in the quarterfinals against host Cameroon. The Scorpions of the Gambia won the away leg 1-0 to Chad, played in Cameroon, but were, just like their opponents, forced to host Chad in Morocco after being stripped of home advantage by the Continental Football Governing Body CAF due to poor standards of the country's only stadium built in the early 1980s. The Chadians took the lead in the first half, courtesy of a header from Ahmed Abdurrahman, before the Gambia and FC Zurich forward Hassan Cisse swiftly equalized for the Coach Thompson field side. Resuming from the break, Chad regained the lead through SSL Loisel, and the 2-1 scoreline meant the Scorpions were set to be eliminated on away goals rule. However, Scorpions' sensational forward Hassan Cisse netted from the spot to Enzo Thompson's field side, who climbed to 125th in the FIFA World Rankings after their impressive run in Cameroon, still have a chance to reach next year's tournament in Ivory Coast.
Hans Akimbo, here he comes. Hassan Cisse, the boy from FC Zurich. Here he comes, Hassan. He has scored.
The date for the draw for the group stage of qualifying is yet to be announced by the Confederation of African Football, CAF. In a similar development, Sao Tome, Lesotho, Eswatini and South Sudan also progressed to the group stage. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Before we end, here is a recap of the news. Aspiring candidates from West Coast Region, Banjul and Kanifing Municipality have signed the symbolic code of conduct in ensuring a peaceful National Assembly election. Tenants living within the Greater Banjul area have raised concern over high cost of rent and urged relevant authorities to address the problem. The Gambia National Youth Service Scheme NYSS on Tuesday held the swearing ceremony for its 14th batch of 134 corps members. In international news, the Ukraine-Russia war could trigger a food crisis in Africa due to the continent's heavy dependence on both countries for food imports. In sports news, the Scorpions of the Gambia on Tuesday drew 2-2 with Chad to progress to the group stage of qualifiers for the AFCON 2023 in Ivory Coast. That's all we have for you in this bulletin. Join us at 10 for another bulletin. Thank you for watching.